The Marvel comic universe is an ever-expanding multiverse, overseen by a singular entity known as the One Above All, the Ultimate Creator. However, Marvel has also introduced us to the Ultimate Destructor, the One Below All. This raises the question, which of these beings is more powerful? In truth, neither the One Above All nor the One Below All is more powerful than the other because they are actually the same entity. The One Below All is the destruction alter ego of the One Above All, serving as an evil counterpart that brings balance to the multiverse by destroying what has been created. Essentially, the One Below All's purpose is to destroy so that the One Above All can continue to create. One might argue that the good side of this entity, the One Above All, is more powerful because it possesses true omnipotence. However, the full understanding of their power dynamics requires a deeper look. Here's everything you need to know about Marvel's most powerful being ever created. Who is the One Above All? Marvel Comics is filled with almighty entities, the Celestials who created the universe, the Living Tribunal who oversees the multiverse, Galactus, and the Beyonders. But who is the supreme entity that started it all? Enter the One Above All. In DC Comics, the Presence serves as the monotheistic god responsible for all creation. In Marvel Comics, that role belongs to the One Above All. This being is the absolute, omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient entity who created everyone and everything, possessing the power to annihilate the entire omniverse with a mere blink. The One Above All embodies pure goodness and love. In Ultimate 2 Volume 1, Number 100, the entity declares, "I am the One Above All. I see through many eyes. I build with my hands. They are themselves, but they are also me. I am all-powerful, my only weapon is love. The mystery intrigues me." Despite the enormity of its power, the One Above All rarely reveals itself. Even in the most dire situations, it prefers to operate from the shadows, delegating multiversal matters to its servants, most notably the Living Tribunal. The One Above All has only made a direct appearance once in the sensational Spider-Man Volume Number 2, Number 40. In this issue, it appears to Peter Parker, teaching him to accept death when his Aunt May was on the brink of death, helping him cope with the impending loss. What's the difference between the One Above All and One Above All? You may have noticed I always use hyphens when referring to the One Above All. While the character is sometimes called the One Above All, in the comics we use hyphens to distinguish between two completely different characters who share the same name. The One Above All is the supreme deity in Marvel Comics, the most powerful, omnipotent being who created everything and controls the very fabric of existence. Conversely, the One Above All without hyphens is a powerful entity, but not on the same level as the One Above All. This One Above All is the Supreme Celestial, the most powerful of the Celestials responsible for the creation of the universe. His name signifies his status as being above all other Celestials. Both of these characters are extremely powerful, but the distinction is important since only one of them, the One Above All, is the most powerful being in the Marvel Comics. Who is the One Below All? We don't need hyphens here because there's only one being named the One Below All. The entity resides in a realm beneath all other realms, below hell or any other wild dimension. Hence the name of the entity, the One Below All. So, who is the One Below All? Well, if the One Above All is the supreme deity of Marvel Comics representing its traditional version of monotheistic god with unlimited powers, the One Below All would be the exact opposite. The One Below All is the physical manifestation of pure evil, chaos, corruption, and destruction. It is just as deadly and as powerful as the One Above All. However, if the One Above All states that its only weapon is love, the only weapon of the One Below All is hate. If the One Above All is love, order, and creation, then the One Below All is hate, chaos, and destruction. Now, we didn't really know much about either entity until just recently. Both were fleshed out quite nicely in the Immortal Hulk series. Climaxing in Immortal Hulk number 50, we finally learn about their true nature and who the more powerful entity is. Or did we? The One Above All versus the One Below All. Who is more powerful? We know who is the One Above All and the One Below All are now, which leads us to our main question. Who is the more powerful entity? The answer is none of them. The One Above All and the One Below All are equally as powerful because they are one and the same. Yes, they are indeed the same entity. It was finally explained in Immortal Hulk number 50 that the one below all is actually the evil alter ego, or counterpart of the one above all. The good side of the entity, the one above all, never destroys, for destruction is not love. It only creates, nurtures and cares. However, if there were only creation and no destruction, there would be no balance. Hence the one above all developed the evil alter ego, the one below all, who destroys and hates to bring balance into the multiverse and allow the one above all to love and create again. We also learned that the relationship between the one above all and the one below all mirrors the relationship between the Hulk and Dr. Bruce Banner. In fact, it was the one below all who refused Banner and the Hulk into one being. The one below all was trapped in its own realm behind sealed gates. However, when the gamma bomb exploded during Banner's accident, it created an opening just large enough for the one below all to release a part of himself into Dr. Banner, thus manifesting as the Hulk. In essence, the Hulk is to Banner what the one below all is to one above all. They are the same entity, expressed in different forms, opposites that coexist to maintain balance. Determining which is the more powerful entity is nearly impossible because there are two aspects of the same being. However, if you dig deeper into it, it seems that only the one above all is completely omnipotent and to his alter ego. The one below all doesn't have complete omnipotence. You see, the main goal and purpose of the one below all is the total destruction of the entire multiverse. Its endgame, so to speak, is to eradicate all existence but himself. However, the entity was trapped in its realm for a long time and obviously cannot wipe out the multiverse on a whim, meaning the entity is not really omnipotent. On the other hand, the one above all has complete omnipotence. He created the one below all to create balance in the multiverse. He has the power to shut everything down in a blink, but chooses not to, for its purpose is to create, not to eradicate. That brings us to the conclusion, although they are the same entity, the one above all is clearly the more powerful because he is the only being that is completely omnipotent. Although the one below all is the balance maker and has omnipresence and omniscience, it is not omnipotent, for it cannot complete its goal of total destruction. Let us know what you think about this video in the comments and I will catch you in the next video. Till then, stay heroic, stay unleashed.